I'm Don Smith, Executive Director of the West Virginia Press Association, and today we're talking with Linda Bunn, Associate State Director for West Virginia AARP, and we're here to discuss their Fraud Watch program. Welcome, Linda.
Thanks for having me.
Fraud and scams are always a big issue, but especially around the holidays, end of the year, we seem to hear more about that. Tell us about AARP's concern and why you're so involved with this.
So way back in 1958, when Ethel Percy Andrus started AARP, one of the things she wanted to do was to make sure that people had choices as they age. Well, that requires financial stability, and there's nothing worse for financial stability than having your nest egg taken away by a con artist. So AARP has always really been in the anti-fraud business because it's so important for making good choices.
Right. We were talking a little before we came on air, and I thought it was very interesting what you said. We tend to think of con artists working and targeting seniors and people, older people, but you said it's not necessarily just because of age.
Right, it's not because people are naive or they just don't know any better. Con men are smart. I mean, that's how they separate us from our money. They have lots of techniques, but if you're looking at who you're going to target, I'm 60 plus, I have a child that's in college. If you're a smart scammer, who are you going to pick? Somebody that has nothing but debt and a used car, or somebody who's been working a lifetime to set away money for retirement, who has assets, who has a bank account, who has a house. So we are likely targets because we have assets.
So not necessarily easier target, just a better target.
Right. And one of the things that scam artists are really, really good at are targeting individuals with scams that are specially tailored for them. So they're not going to try to get me in a scam that would work on a 19-year-old. They're going to target and tailor that scam so that it attracts me, so that it gets my interest, so that I am intrigued and I want to explore.
Well, that makes sense. Most of the scams and fraud things that I've seen personally have been tied to my computer, which is a big part of my work and my life. So that's where they try to panic me and try to make a bad decision. So that fits in with what you're saying. AARP has a Fraud Watch network,
exactly.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great place to go for resources and to look and to be informed about what's going on. And I've spent some time on it, and it's educational.
It really is.
I've had scam attempts recently where my computer screen locked up, and it seemed to lock up. And actually I realized that I'd went across something that popped up a scam, and it made the screen look full, and I couldn't see the mouse, but it was actually there. But it said, your computer's locked, don't restart, call this number. And it took a few moments, but I realized it was a scam. I always hear, okay, when something like that happens and you need to start changing your passwords. Don't leave your passwords, don't use the same password. But I'll be honest, it's a pain.
It is.
It's a pain to do it, it's a pain to remember them. But I noticed on the AARP Fraud Watch site that it talks about the need to do that, but also how to manage your passwords and make it a little easier. And tell us a little about that. What can we do?
Sure, what we recommend is you use a password management tool. So it's an app or it's a program that you can get that helps you manage those passwords. And so you really do have to have strong passwords, and I know everybody wants to have an easy one that they can remember and use the same one, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever. You just can't, because then what happens is once one gets compromised, they're all compromised, because there's only one. So if you have a different one and you make them very complex, then it's really difficult to go cross-platforms and cross-programs and get you everywhere, including your bank account. And so what we recommend is a password management tool. They're free. You can find them out there, and I'm going to list off 6 of them so that it doesn't look like I'm picking any favorites. Dashlane, 1Password, RoboForm, LastPass, Keeper, TrueKey. These are all different ones that are out there, and you can go do a search on them. And the way they work is it's kind of like a digital locker for your passwords.
Okay.
So all you really need to remember is that one password to get into the locker. So you're
Right.
back to 1Password, And then it helps manage all those different passwords. And then once you get into Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, it helps you get into those programs.
Okay.
But it's secure digitally. So, and there's some other really good things about those. Number one, it's going to help you get much more complicated passwords for those other things,
Right.
so that they're harder to break through. And number two, there's ways that you can put surrogates on there, because you never know what could happen, and you go into the hospital or you're sick or something, and nobody can get into anything that you have. So if you designate a surrogate, like you would a beneficiary
Right.
on your insurance, then somebody can get into all your files and all your
Information.
locked information, but it's somebody that you chose.
Yeah, I mean, insurance, newspaper subscriptions, all my things are online, have passwords.
Right.
And you can pay your bills and all of your bank. So having that and having somebody as a backup if you're in an accident, if you're in the hospital, makes
Exactly.
a lot of sense. Well, Linda, thank you. Great advice. I guess that our viewers can go to the website
Absolutely.
and learn, and there's updates on a regular basis,
There
correct?
are, and there's videos, and sometimes they're fun, and sometimes they're serious, and sometimes they really make a deep point about how you can protect yourself and what could happen to you if you're not secure in your data or all the dealings that you have. So there's some great tips out there, the great resources, and it's also a way to connect with other people who are in a similar circumstance.
All right. Well, Linda, thank you for your advice, for AARP's efforts, and for joining us on InDepth. Thank you.
Thank you.